Hey there, welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So, this will be the first episode in the monthly series. Yeah, the first one I've done, and God, I can't even remember the last time I did a monthly series. I think it was back maybe beginning of last summer or maybe somewhere at the end of last summer. Can't really remember right now. However, this will be the first one I've done in a while, let's put it that way. So it's now July of 2024. I think it's the only one for this year, anyways. So this series is going to be my 31 favorite albums that introduced me to a particular band. So how that works is that the album that I first bought and owned and became involved with that introduced me to a particular band. So I had about 70 of these albums on a list and went through them all and kind of decided which ones were the 31 most favorite. And I put them in an order too. So I'm going to go from my least favorite of these 31 albums to my most favorite. Now, I'll be honest, I like every single one of these albums, so there's no least part here or no worst part here. It's just degrees of greatness, you know. So a lot of the albums that did not make this cut are albums I absolutely adore. It was hard because you only got 31 spots, so you can't put 45 or 50 albums in there that you like. So I had to make choices. There are some bands that you will see that you won't hear mentioned here that you would think would be mentioned, but I never was introduced to them by a particular album. I usually got their stuff off the radio, or I became conscious of somebody else's collection of them, or whatever. Right? You know, an example of that is Thin Lizzy. I never got into Thin Lizzy because of any particular album. I heard stuff on the radio, I taped it, all kinds of different things, but I listened to Thin Lizzy since the 80s. But I never actually owned an album by them until about 3 years ago when I bought Thunder and Lightning. So I don't consider Thunder and Lightning to be the album that introduced me to them because it didn't introduce me to them. I knew that. I had been around them long enough to know what I liked and didn't like about them. So I've chosen the albums that I got because I had heard some stuff by them and I owned the album, and this album really introduced me to the bands. So the first one today, and the other thing we're going to do here is I will introduce the album and I'm going to talk about how I got this album, why I liked it so much, why this introduction is important to this band for me. So the first one, number 31, coming in here on July 1st, Canada Day here in Upper Canada, or Ontario, as some of you people know it. This is News of the World by Queen. Is this their, I think this could be their 6th studio album. I'm not really 100% sure. I know it's roughly that time period. Came out in, I believe, 77? Was it 77 or 79? Does not say here. Let's just take a look. It's copywriting it as this is a remastered version of the album, so it's probably copying it as 93 when it was remastered. But I'm pretty sure it was like 77, possibly as far up as 79. I'm just going to look here. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, News of the World, but it's not. Oh, 77. Yep. Copyright 1977. I don't know why I always forget that. So I did not get this album initially when it first came out because I wasn't into Queen until sometime in the late 78, 79. So it had been around. The album had been around a bit. I knew enough about it because it was, you had the two big hits, of course, that were out there on the radio stations everywhere and being played, especially We Are the Champions, was being played everywhere at events and stuff like that. Big album for them. Really cemented their legendary status. I think that at this point they'd had some really good stuff, but this one really kind of, I think, cemented them as one of the great bands of their time period. And I guess this is kind of an homage to Ben as well, because I know he's a big, huge fan of these guys as well. Yeah, this is an album I knew was going to be on the list. I didn't know quite where I was going to put it, but it's going to be here today, the first day for Canada Day, News of the World. I bought this. I started playing it, and to my, lo and behold, to me, the two songs, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, were accompanied by a host of really good, solid material, deep cut stuff. Sheer Heart Attack, of course. They do have an album called Sheer Heart Attack, but the song is on this album. All Dead, another good track. Spread your wings and fly away. Such a killer tune. Fight from the Inside, that's one of the heavier tracks, one of the deeper cuts that absolutely kills on this album. And you got Get Down, Make Love, Sleeping on the Sidewalk, Who Needs You, It's Late, My Melancholy Blues. The thing about Queen too is, even though this is a bit of a progressive album, definitely has that progressive album look, and it has a few songs that kind of go that way, but this is a kind of a hard rock, bluesy. It's got some like vaudeville, almost some vaudeville stuff on here too, and some real hard stuff, not to mention the two big hits as well. Yeah, just a killer album. I love the back cover here too. This is an album that, to me, never wears out. When I decide to go to Queen on any given day, if I decide I feel like listening to Queen, I almost always go to this album because it's easily my favorite by them. And in this case, it was the first album I got by them, and it introduced me to the band. And at that point in time, in 1978, they were one of 4 bands that I was really starting to get into. The beginning of that period when I started to get into it. The other two of the bands really didn't make a big impact until 1980, but the other two, and this being one of them, began their impact a little bit earlier. So probably Queen and Styx were the first 2 bands after Kiss that I really got into, and then Sabbath and Rush came along shortly after that. But this is a fantastic album. I like it a lot. Coming here, day 31, Queen's News of the World. I hope you've liked this episode. If you have, please hit the like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit make any comments you want to make and hit the notification bell. Great album. We'll be back tomorrow with another album for the month of July. My 31 favorite albums that introduced me to these bands. So take care, and we will see you then. Bye.